How's it going, guys and geeks? Welcome back to the Geekritique show. We're your hosts. I'm Jen.
I'm Dakota.
And we went to Universal and Disney like a couple weeks ago. Last week. So basically, if you're like, why did you go? The reason is we had to go down to Florida for a family event and we decided to go.
Yeah, and we also got stuck behind our Hurricane Sally, so it was necessary for us to stop somewhere. We were driving, we weren't flying. So we decided we were going to stop in Orlando. We knew that we were going to quarantine for 2 weeks anyway.
Yeah, I had to take off of both school and work for 2 weeks because New York state law dictates that you can't, like, once you go into a banned state, like, when you get back, you have to
quarantine.
So we've been very strictly following that since we've been home.
Yeah, so we decided we were going to have some fun when we were down there. But the point of this video isn't to just say, like, or compare and contrast, like, oh, how much fun do we have at these different places? We wanted to talk specifically about who's doing it better, like, in terms of, like, coronavirus preparedness.
And just kind of like give you guys insight into like what it's like during this time to go to these places. Not that we're endorsing it. We're not saying encouraging people or, trying to get people to go. We're just giving our general experience of how it was. So we figured we would start with Disney. We've both been to Disney together a bunch of times. We really love Disney.
Yeah.
And overall, I think we had a positive experience. What you need to understand about Orlando in general, both parks, they are huge open outdoor spaces. So especially with the amount of, like, Disney especially is capping the amount of people allowed in each park at a certain time. They do not have the park hopper passes right now where you can jump from park to park because they don't want unnecessary movement, or
they want to keep each park, like the tickets for each park, separate so that they can kind of gauge where everyone is.
Yeah, so when you like buy your tickets to go into Disney, you also have to reserve a spot in the park in addition to buying like your general ticket, because they're capping it basically. And you can see that when you get there. It's not like it's totally empty, like you can see people, but I don't feel like I was ever put in a position where I had to be more than 6 feet away from someone, or where I had to be less than 6 feet away from someone.
Yeah.
Because there was so much room that we were always away from people.
Another thing that you may, if you are planning on setting up a trip to Disney or Universal, one thing to note is that normally when you get a hotel or reserve a hotel at Disney, you get what's called magic hours, which is hours that you get to stay in the parks either earlier or before the parks open for the general public, or later after the parks close. And right now during COVID, the parks are not doing that. They have less hours than normal, I think. Magic Kingdom had the most hours, and that's why we did Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, I think it's literally like...
It was from
like
9 to 6.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not the same every day, obviously, but basically, like, that was like the general amount of hours.
They don't have the fireworks show at the end, which is understandable because you don't want everyone crowding together.
But they are doing the parades right now, which that was the time where I felt like people were kind of like crowding forward for that. But I don't remember anybody ever coming into like my little bubble of space. Like I feel like I just kind of showed that on my facial expression, like, don't get near me.
Maybe. But I think everyone was very respectful.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, because it was Florida, I expected people to like, I'll do whatever I want.
Honestly, like, it was so much worse in southern states, like just like gas stations and like rest areas. Like, people would not be wearing masks in buildings. They were getting super close to you. Whereas in Disney, I felt like everybody was really aware and, like you said, respectful. I only saw one person in Disney not wearing a mask, and that was like, she was like outside and kind of like by herself.
I wonder, I think that specific situation was like, she probably forgot that she took her mask off.
Yeah, like she didn't even seem like aware of it, which, I mean, I've been at like outdoor restaurants and I've like stood up and then been like, oh yeah, I have to grab my mask. Like, it's not second nature yet. Sometimes you just forget, and that's what it seemed happened.
But for pretty much everything, unless you're sitting down to eat or drink, everyone in Disney wore their masks at all times. Obviously, the cast members were very good about making sure everyone followed those rules, but I don't think anyone in our experience needed to be told.
Yeah, I think I saw... No, when we were on the Jungle Cruise, and a kid... He was like a teenager,
Yes,
and he kept
yes.
having it below his nose, and the woman the cast member who was like conducting the boat ride told him several times like, okay, and masks over the nose, and she said it in a really nice way, and then he would remember and do it, but he was just like a teenager, and it kept like drooping below his nose, and then she kept having him lift it back up. But again, too, like even with that, they were like, when you're on the lines, if like they always make it so you're over 6 feet away from people, and they have them like zigzagging like away from each other so that you're not like even that way like next to people. Or if you are like on the Seven Dwarfs mine train, they had like glass panes.
Yeah.
So that you're not like...
Or like plexiglass panes that went up and down so that you're no longer in someone's direct line of cough or whatever. I thought that both parks, both Disney and Universal, did a really good job of keeping everyone 6 feet apart. I think I liked Universal's a little bit better. Their little strip where it said "stand here" gave a little bit more instruction than the Disney parks did. The Universal one would actually said like keep 6 feet apart, and I think it said it in Spanish as well.
Yeah, I felt though at Universal that the people weren't as respectful as they were at Disney, like the actual visitors. Because I remember there was like a time in the line. I have a bit of a temper, as some of you who actually know me may know. And this, like, these people kept not, like, following the lines and standing close to me. And I was like, look at the lines. Like, and she, you know, she was
respectful after you.
After I said that, because she, like, seriously ticked me off. Because I kept looking at her, like, because there were younger people that were doing it. And I would, like, look at them, like, hey, can you, like, back up a little bit? Because even if you don't care, I care. So, like, if you could just at least respect that. And, you know, if you're just being closer to me isn't going to make you get on the line faster. So just, like, I kind of like the way that the lines are. Because in general, like, even without COVID, like, stay away from me. I just don't like people near me.
Keep the 6 feet distance markers, or keep the, like, placement markers.
Yeah.
It makes the rides feel so smooth. Obviously, there was less people at the parks. The lines were a lot less long than they normally are, where it would say, like, the wait time is 40 minutes, but that's because if people at the end of the line are where they are at normal times, it would be 40 minutes before you get on the ride.
Yeah.
But now it was like 10 minutes because everything's spaced out.
Yeah, or like there was a line specifically that it said 45 minutes, and I set a timer because I was like, these lines are like, they're saying an amount that isn't like accurate. Right. So I actually set a timer and we got on in 20 minutes.
Yeah, so I think the longest line for anything that we did at Disney was It's a Small World After All.
Yeah, and I think that's because they were cleaning
every single boat.
Disney was really good at cleaning sterilizing the boats, because basically they were like...
The rides in general, actually.
Yeah, all of them.
Basically, they would use every other ride, and after you got off it, they would sterilize it and just let it run its course throughout the length of the ride. And then the person would get on the next one, which had been sterilized the previous course. And I think that was a really smart way on Disney's part to keep that going. And, you know, it's an extra safety precaution that they took that I didn't see. And we may not have just seen it. Like, it may not have been visible to us, but we didn't see that at Universal.
No, yeah, I think we would have seen it, because we were just getting, like, Universal, there were less people there for sure. Because I think... You know, Disney, I guess we can, like, hop into Universal now.
Yeah, we'll hop into Universal.
Disney has, like, more of a, like, cult fan base that they're like, and there are people that literally, I feel like they moved to Orlando just to go to Disney, and they're going to Disney, and it shows. That's why Disney has to cap the amount of people in the parks, whereas Universal clearly isn't getting as much traction. Like, the lines at Universal, like, you would just, like, I never saw them once in Universal sterilizing a thingy.
I think the lines in Universal are better right now. I think there's less people in the park, first of all. But
they could also be better because they're not sterilizing each ride as they go.
That's true.
So that could be it. The only difference is Universal was much better at, like, forcing people to use hand sanitizer before getting onto the ride.
Yes. So while Disney had, like, the plexiglass panes on every other ride or whatever, and that they would sterilize the rides after use, what was impressive about Universal that Disney didn't do was they forced you. You couldn't get on the ride unless the person... like put that on you.
Hand sanitizer.
And hand sanitizer. And obviously Disney did have hand sanitizer stations.
And everybody was using them.
Yeah, it was hand sanitizer stations at the front of the line, right before you got on the ride, and as you got off the ride. So there were three opportunities for you to sterilize your hands during a Disney ride, but it was forced upon you at Universal.
Yeah, like the people who were allowing you onto the rides would like literally be like, hold out your hands, and they would do it.
Yes.
So, but I don't know what's safer.
that.
What's safer, that or just having a touchless hand thing? Because are they not putting their workers at risk by making them go up and put the stuff in the hands of each person riding the ride?
Yes, I could see that. But as a guest, I felt a little safer getting on the rides at Universal. Although I knew that Disney was actively sterilizing their boats. So it's pros and cons to both, you know? And I appreciated the measures that each took.
As far as ping trading goes, it's kind of non-existent right now. So with ping trading,
we did buy pins.
We bought pins. Yeah, you can buy pins. There's actually like, I don't know if it's still going on, but like last week they had like a buy one get one free for the 2020 pins, which was pretty cool.
Unfortunately, the 2020 pins don't have any characters with like masks or social distancing or anything like that.
Which would have been kind of fun.
They probably make their pins
way in advance.
Yeah. So I think 2021 pins will probably have social distancing stuff and all that. Hopefully,
which would be kind of cool.
It would be kind of cool for collectors and stuff.
Yeah. So. Like right now, like some stores had like a little like pin board or whatever, but we just basically decided like we didn't want to trade with other visitors because...
Or cast members.
Yeah, or cast members because we didn't want to get close to people. So for us, I know like...
Because 99% of the pin trading you couldn't do.
Yeah, it just wasn't available to you. So if you're thinking, because I know I see it on, like I follow the pin trading subreddit online, and a lot of people are like, so what's the pin trading like right now? And I don't know, as far as my experience goes, it was basically just buy for next time. Yeah. Buy for next time when things are,
there's pin
a bit better. Yeah, there's pin collecting.
Yeah. In terms of what we were able to get done throughout the day, because you know, if you're planning to go, I don't recommend going to a theme park during this time period. Obviously, it's not what we're trying to do here, but if you are and you want information on that, I thought it was really interesting that at Universal we were able to do both parks.
Yeah, and we
were rained out for 2 hours.
And even with that, we got on most of the rides that we wanted to do. I think we did 12 rides all together.
Yeah.
And we like went over into the other park and we got a ton of stuff done. And we got to try a bunch of different things, which was really cool.
What I didn't appreciate about Universal was when it did rain, everyone was underneath like big...
That was frustrating.
Big cover areas. And when it rains in Florida, it rains in Florida. There was a lot of people not doing the social distancing at that point. We did our best to stay as far away from people as possible.
We stayed like on the edge, like in the corner, but like there were like crowds of people underneath those things and I mean, what can the staff members do, I guess? Like force them to go out into the rain?
You can't.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, but clearly no direction was given to them as far as what to do. And everybody just kind of crowded there.
I also didn't like at Universal, they didn't have... whoever runs the park and whoever like tells the employees what to do, there was no communication with them, which means that there was no communication between the employees and the guests in terms of when rides were going to restart
after the rain.
Which
was really frustrating.
And that was a very frustrating thing. I don't know if that's COVID specific. I
think that was just in general, like they don't communicate that.
So
that was kind of annoying. The only thing that I didn't like about Universal, I felt a lot of times like when you're getting onto the rides, it was very confusing which direction you were supposed to be going in because they make you like use a locker system before you get into the ride, which
was frustrating.
I really hated that because first of all, it's fingerprint access, so you're like touching.
There was only one. I never saw fingerprint access, and I did most of the locker stuff.
Oh, okay.
I think you were the only one.
Oh, I thought they were all like that. Okay. Yeah. Well, either way, you have to like touch a bunch of different stuff, and like they give you like hand sanitizer beforehand. But the whole locker thing, it's like you have a whole separate ride, or a whole separate line to do for that, and
that was frustrating.
The direction you were supposed to be going in wasn't clear. So sometimes I was like waiting on lines thinking I was going to the locker, and then they'd be like, "Oh, you have your bag," and like then I would be like redirected somewhere else. So I felt like the way that they at Disney, I don't really remember ever having that confusion. Like you could just see very clearly, okay, this is the beginning of the line, and these are the markers, and all of that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that was definitely a problem. Even like our first couple rides when we were early, because Universal is doing the early hours. I don't know, they don't call them magic hours, obviously.
Yeah, we stayed at a Universal hotel, so we got in like an hour early.
Yeah, so the affordable hotels for Disney are not open currently. Or at least they weren't when we were there.
Yeah, so it was like the $300 a night hotels.
Spend $300 a night at Disney or spend $125 at Universal.
But this was our first time too, like going into Disney without being at a Disney hotel, which was kind of like...
It sucked because we didn't get shuttled in and all that. But
I think we've been spoiled because we had to like drive in and then like take
that's
like
something
the
else we should
monorail.
talk about actually is the shuttles. The monorail for Disney. They are they were very good about like keeping the divider on there for certain things, and it's like one family per pod, so that I always felt safe in the monorail.
Yeah.
In terms of Universal, they staggered the amount of people that were on shuttles, and obviously that's a little bit less safe because it's a shuttle, it's central air, but everyone had their masks on at all times. So,
but I think Disney was still shuttling people from
their parks, they were shuttling.
So
we just
it would
didn't
probably
get that
do the same thing in Disney. So.
Yeah, so that's something that you have to weigh if you're considering going to the parks and stuff.
Yeah.
Overall, I never felt that I was endangering myself.
No. Yeah, I felt like, honestly, I felt more in danger, like I mentioned before, just because we drove down, like going into gas stations, going into like those like little rest areas, because I don't know. I felt like things weren't...
Certain states.
Literally, I was going into like places, like businesses, and nobody in the businesses were wearing masks. We're from New York, so it's a very different vibe up here completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Overall, it was a fun experience. We don't recommend, this is not us endorsing the parks, but we got to give the parks credit where they're due.
Yeah, I think that they did a really good job. I felt really safe in Disney. I liked like my experience at Disney better than my experience at Universal. And yeah, I felt safe. I felt like I didn't need to get close to people. I've had like weirder experience even at restaurants in New York, like outdoor restaurants, honestly, because you could tell they put so much thought into it and everything was pre-planned for you. So I thought overall it wasn't a negative experience.
Sorry that we didn't film anything.
We didn't have a camera.
We didn't have our camera with us. We also just wanted to have a good time and just enjoy the
and it was kind of like a last minute thing, so we weren't planning on doing a whole like vlog or anything.
We hope that this video was entertaining enough or interesting enough that you decide to comment your thoughts, and hopefully it's not a very negative comment about our life choices. But thank you so much for watching up to this point. If you did watch up to this point, please be sure to type out
"Sanitize me, Captain."
Yes, you're going to have to write "Sanitize me, Captain" in your comments down below. Just format it somehow into your overall comments for us, and we'll be sure to comment back. I don't know what we're going to comment back. Probably will be something different than "Sanitize me, Captain." Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Please be sure to check out some of our other videos right over here, and have a good one.
Bye.